Nobody, not even Hulk Hogan or John Cena, has main evented WrestleMania more often than Roman Reigns. He has overcome a lot to get there, from dashed dreams to fan backlash to health scares. Roman Reigns is a third-generation star from a storied wrestling lineage, the Samoan and s.h.i.e.L.D. family. His father was Sika, one half of the Wild Samoans tag team.
Everybody in our family's huge and bigger, larger than life.
But the man born Joe and s.h.i.e.L.D. in May 1985 didn't originally want to be a wrestler. Like his cousin, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Roman originally had football dreams. He played defensive tackle for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets starting in 2003. The team won its conference in the 2006 season, but would ultimately lose that year's Gator Bowl to the West Virginia Mountaineers. Roman was included in that year's All-ACC team and made his way to the NFL draft in 2007. Unfortunately, Roman went undrafted, eventually signing with the Minnesota Vikings. After going through all of his physical exams, he was diagnosed with leukemia and released later that month. Roman was then picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars, but would end up being released 1 week before the start of the 2007 season. He went on to spend 1 year playing in Canada for the Edmonton Eskimos, but was released once more. Roman finally called time on his football career at the end of 2008. He started working for his sister as an office furniture installer, a job he absolutely hated. He knew the world had something better lined up for him, and he was right. Roman signed a developmental contract with WWE in the summer of 2010. He initially wrestled under the name Roman Leakee in what was then WWE's developmental territory, Florida Championship Wrestling. He debuted on August 19th in a battle royal that was eventually won by Alex Riley. Roman wasn't the only future main event star in the match. Future WWE champion Big E and Roman's real-life cousin Jey Uso were also involved. As was the style at the time, WWE dropped Leakee's first name in 2011. Alongside Mike Dalton, who would become better known as Tyler Breeze, Leakee won the FCW Florida Tag Team Championships in the summer of 2012. He'd also get the chance to wrestle at a handful of WWE house shows. FCW rebranded to NXT in August 2012, and Leakee got another name change. This one stuck. He became Roman Reigns, who re-debuted as a slimy heel that October. He'd only wrestled a grand total of 3 matches on NXT TV before the main roster and a game-changing faction came calling. In the closing moments of Survivor Series 2012, 3 men dressed in all black invaded the ring and began attacking Ryback in the midst of a triple threat main event for the WWE Championship. These hounds of justice were Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins, who would become known as the S.h.i.e.L.D. Initially, all signs pointed to the trio working at the behest of then-champion CM Punk, given that they were largely attacking his enemies. That association quietly ended, though, and the S.h.i.e.L.D. went off on their own to become one of the most feared trios in wrestling.
It's 3 generals. There's no leader. It's 3 leaders.
At first, though, the brawling Ambrose was a de facto leader, since he was the mouthpiece. Rollins brought the high-flying moves and speed. Roman was the silent powerhouse who could clear out the competition after a hot tag. As a unit, they were all but unstoppable, and that dominance made them very popular with fans. This was the first crop of former FCW and NXT performers who would later go on to main event pay-per-views and win championships. Ambrose had a year-long reign with the United States Championship, while Reigns and Rollins held the WWE Tag Team Championship. Roman was even runner-up in the 2014 Royal Rumble. After vanquishing the Reformed Evolution in the summer of 2014, it looked like nothing could stop the S.h.i.e.L.D. But the Authority had other ideas, convincing Rollins to turn on his brothers. The chair shot that Rollins gave to Reigns became one of those unforgettable moments in WWE history. All 3 S.h.i.e.L.D. members went on to singles careers after the breakup. Rollins became the architect, the conniving heel mastermind, working alongside the Authority to win championships. Ambrose took on the nickname the Lunatic Fringe and acted increasingly unhinged. The 2 of them started a personal and violent feud. Roman mostly kept the S.h.i.e.L.D. stuff, though he got a new nickname, the Big Dog. He wore essentially the same ring attire and kept using the group's entrance music. That seemed fine at first, but then the holes in Roman's game, particularly on the microphone, started to emerge as WWE pushed him harder and harder. Fans didn't think Roman was ready for the top spot. His Royal Rumble victory in 2015 led to an unforgettable fan revolt. They kept booing even when The Rock came into the ring and raised his hand in victory. People got a cancelled WWE Network #trending. The only way Roman's first WrestleMania main event against Brock Lesnar that year could please fans was by having Rollins, a heel, cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase and leave with the title. When Roman did eventually eventually get his crowning moment in the main event of WrestleMania 32 against Triple H, that didn't go well either. Beating The Undertaker the following year just made things worse. Whenever his music would hit, Roman got booed out of every building he walked into. Even though he was the dominating champion WWE wanted him to be, the fans quite simply rejected him. The fans did soon get what they wanted, Roman off their TVs, but almost certainly not in a way they expected or hoped for. Roman had kept his 2007 leukemia diagnosis a secret, from fans at least, for all of his wrestling career. But he had to reveal it publicly less than 2 weeks before his scheduled defense of the WWE Universal Championship against Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman at the Crown Jewel 2018. In a segment on Raw, he said that his cancer had come back in a very serious way, and that he would have to relinquish his title to devote all his time to beating it.
When others see the struggle that you go through, we bond through a struggle so much more than through success.
On his way backstage, Roman was met by Ambrose and Rollins at the top of the entrance ramp. They embraced Roman with tears in their eyes, not knowing if that would be the last time they would see him in a WWE ring. Fortunately, the treatment went well. Roman made his return on the February 25th, 2019 episode of Raw, announcing that he was officially in remission. That said, Roman has admitted that he is still taking oral chemotherapy to fight his leukemia and will continue to do so for the rest of his life. He has made clear, though, that as long as he is able to perform, that's all that matters. Roman spent a little over a year in various feuds, eventually challenging Goldberg for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 36. Then the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and Roman had to once again step away for the sake of his health. Braun Strowman took his place in the match with Goldberg. Roman ended up spending about 5 early pandemic months away. He finally came back at SummerSlam 2020, attacking Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. There was something different about him too, and it wasn't just a pearly white new set of veneers on his teeth. Roman had an anger and aggression the likes of which he hadn't shown since his days with the Shield. All was revealed on the August 28th edition of SmackDown, when it became clear that Reigns had aligned himself with none other than Paul Heyman. A few days later at Payback 2020, he became the WWE Universal Champion once again. This new attitude worried his cousins Jimmy and Jey Uso, with Jey then being the first challenger for Roman's title. Things didn't end well for Jey. Upon losing their I Quit Hell in a Cell match, Jey was ordered to call Reigns by his new moniker, which has stayed with him to this day, the Tribal Chief. With Jey as his right-hand man and Heyman as his special counsel, Reigns would go on to dominate SmackDown, defeating the likes of Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Edge to keep hold of his title. Jimmy wasn't too happy with how Reigns was conducting his business, but he eventually fell in line. As WWE slowly returned to live crowds as the COVID-19 pandemic waned, the Bloodline was officially formed. The Usos captured the SmackDown Tag Team Championships at Money in the Bank 2021, making every in-ring member of the stable a champion. But that was only phase 1. Roman defended his Universal Championship against an old rival, Brock Lesnar, at WrestleMania 38. Lesnar was the WWE Champion at the time, so Roman's win unified the titles, making him the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. The Usos would then capture the Raw Tag Team Championships 1 month later, making them the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. As 2022 progressed, the Bloodline became the must-see attraction in WWE. Sami Zayn got added as an honorary member, bringing some welcome comedy to the act, as well as some intrigue involving whether the family really accepted him. Solo Sikoa joined as yet another dominant member of the family, and Roman knocked down every challenger that came his way.
That camaraderie, that bond, that family, sometimes we argue together, sometimes we fight.
Reigns' list of challengers came to include Drew McIntyre, Zayn after he stepped away from the group, and even Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39. Plenty of people thought that Cody's challenge would mean the end of Roman's dominant championship run, but they thought wrong. The Tribal Chief remained atop of WWE as the one true head of the table, to the point where the company had to bring a new World Heavyweight Championship back to Raw in 2023. By the beginning of 2024, Reigns still had Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso to help him out. Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble once again, but nearly gave away his title shot to The Rock, who was starting to angle toward challenging Roman for a spot at his family's head of the table. But fans rose up once again, demanding that Cody get to finish his story. So The Rock joined forces with the Bloodline and became the final boss instead. In the main event of Night 2 of WrestleMania 40, Rhodes, with the help of John Cena, The Undertaker, Seth Rollins, and Jey Uso, finally got the better of Reigns and became the new undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Reigns' run with the WWE Championship came to an end at 735 days, while his WWE Universal Championship run ended at a staggering 1,316 days. After Mania, Roman took a breather following nearly 4 years as champion, but he was back once again at SummerSlam in August, helping Cody in his match with Sikoa, who had transformed the Bloodline into something wildly different from what Reigns had put together. Sikoa had been calling himself the Tribal Chief while Reigns was gone, even wearing the ceremonial Ula Fala necklace. Roman, calling himself the One True Chief, couldn't stand for that. The original version of the Bloodline, consisting of Roman, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and Paul Heyman, went to war with Sikoa's version that included the newly signed Jacob Fatu and former New Japan tag team the Guerrillas of Destiny. This would all culminate in a tribal combat match on the January 6, 2025 episode of Raw, where Reigns defeated Sikoa. Roman found himself flying solo after WrestleMania 41. He faced off against Seth Rollins and CM Punk in the main event of Mania's first night. Heyman, who had long histories with both Punk and Roman, chose to align himself with Rollins and betray the other two. Rollins and Heyman went on to form a stable with Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, while Punk went on to other things, namely unsuccessfully facing John Cena for his title in Saudi Arabia at Nights of Champions. Roman once again took some time off. He hasn't wrestled a match since a WrestleMania loss as of the making of this video, but he did return on the July 14th, 2025 episode of Raw to lay out Breakker and Reed, so he's soon to get retribution against the Wise Man. Roman has already gone on record to say that once he reaches the end of his current WWE contract, which is set to expire after WrestleMania 42 in 2026, he most likely has just 1 or 2 more years left in the ring.
I think year to year, I'm approaching 40 now. It's smart to analyze everything and be flexible.
Retirements in wrestling are something of a running gag, given that they never seem to stick. But given that he is still fighting leukemia, Roman seems fairly serious about his retirement coming sooner rather than later. When Roman does decide to hang up the Ula Fala, he will undoubtedly go down as one of the greatest WWE stars of all time. Even with his personal health problems and the fact the fans outright rejected him at one point, no one can take away what the Tribal Chief has done in his 15-year career. You've got to acknowledge him.